You stand at the edge of a world that does not know your name and would not care if it did. The year is 1347, and you have stepped into a time where life is fragile as thin glass and death walks freely among the living. At first you feel almost powerful, like a traveler from a higher world, carrying the knowledge of centuries. You tell yourself you will survive this. That wisdom is your shield and discipline your armor, but the ground beneath your feet is not paved with certainty. It is mud, cold and soft, swallowing your shoes as you walk. Around you rise timber houses, leaning like crooked teeth, damp with winter mist. A thin drizzle falls from a gray, uncaring sky, and the streets shimmer with dirty water mixed with human waste. People dump their chamber pots into the alley, calling out with lazy warnings as brown liquid splashes against the earth. The stench is overwhelming, sour, rotten, thick enough to cling to your skin. A horse cart passes, wheels cutting through the mud, and children run barefoot alongside it, laughing despite the misery around them. You expect someone to shout at them, to tell them to wash their hands, to stay safe. But no one does. No one worries about invisible killers. The world fears only what it can see: swords, hunger, and God's displeasure. You feel something brush your ankle. Small, soft, fast. A rat. It scurries into a stack of firewood. You hardly notice it. Nobody does. If someone told you that tiny creature might bring the end of half the world, you might laugh. But fate does not need your understanding. It only needs time. The church bells begin to toll. Slow, hollow, echoing through the town like mournful thunder. People stop. Their faces twist, not in surprise, but dread. They have heard this sound too often lately. Another death. A woman in a wool shawl presses a cloth soaked in vinegar to her nose. A charm hangs around her neck, herbs and garlic wrapped in thread. She believes the air itself is poisoned, that evil spirits travel on the wind. She watches you with suspicion, as if newcomers bring danger. In truth, the danger is already here. It crawls under skin, rides in blood, hides in breath, and it is closer than anyone knows. You approach the market square. Once lively, full of vendors calling out prices and farmers displaying vegetables, it now feels hollow. Empty stalls sit abandoned. A butcher sharpens his knife, staring at nothing. A priest sprinkles holy water over a group of frightened villagers. Mothers clutch their children tightly, whispering prayers. A man begins coughing, at first gentle, then sharp, tearing. He bends forward, gasping. People around him step away quickly, not out of medical knowledge, but fear of curses. Fear spreads faster than disease here. The man wipes his mouth. A smear of blood stains his sleeve. He tries to hide it. What else can he do? Doctors are few, and most are barbers with knives and leeches. Real medicine does not exist yet. Faith is the only cure people know, and tonight faith looks thin. A merchant shouts suddenly, pointing to the harbor beyond the walls. A ship has arrived, black sails damp with sea mist. Dock workers hesitate, eyes filled with dread. Rumors travel faster than ships. Whispers say foreign vessels bring a curse, that people die screaming in Italian ports, that cities burn their own sick to stop the spreading death. You watch sailors carry crates down the gangplank. They move slowly, their shoulders heavy. One pauses and collapses to his knees. Someone rushes forward to help, but another worker yanks him back. "Don't touch him!" he cries, voice shaking. The fallen sailor coughs violently, and his skin seems gray, painful to look at. His lips tremble as he tries to speak. But no words come. Only blood, thick, dark, frightening. Fear ripples across the dock like wind over water. Someone screams. Someone else begins praying loudly. A guard steps forward, sword drawn, unsure whether to protect or flee. The ship captain shouts orders, but panic has silenced all reason. Men back away, crossing themselves. No one dares to come close. You swallow hard. You know the name of this sickness, the plague, the Black Death. But knowledge here is useless. You cannot warn them. If you speak like someone from the future, they will accuse you of witchcraft. If you mention germs, they will not understand. You thought knowing history would save you, but history does not listen to warnings. A boy runs past you, barefoot, carrying a basket of bread. His mother calls after him, voice filled with worry. He ignores her, excited to play. Children do not fear what they cannot see. The rat you ignored earlier pauses near his foot, whiskers twitching. A flea jumps. Life changes. Night falls and the town seems to hold its breath. Torches flicker in doorways. Families lock themselves inside. Dogs howl in the distance, sensing a danger deeper than hunger. Smoke rises from chimneys, yet the air feels cold as iron. The wind whispers like something alive. You find lodging in a small tavern. The innkeeper eyes you suspiciously. Strangers are rarely welcomed without fear, but silver speaks louder than distrust. You eat thick bread and weak ale, sitting by a fire that barely warms the bones. Conversations around you are hushed. They say whole villages in the east are gone, one man murmurs. Vanished, another replies. Nothing but silence and graves. The innkeeper crosses himself. This is punishment, he whispers. God is angry. Outside the bell tolls again. And again, each chime a sentence, a verdict. You lie on a straw bed, telling yourself you are safe, strong, prepared. But sleep does not come easily in a world where death knocks on doors like a familiar guest. You close your eyes. Something itches at your ankle. A tiny bite you forgot, a small mark beneath the skin. It feels innocent now, insignificant. But within that mark, war has begun. Tiny enemies march through your blood, multiplying silently, quickly, ruthlessly. Your body fights, unaware it cannot win. You shift uneasily in your sleep, breath shallow. Outside your window, the night is still. A dog whimpers. Far in the distance, a scream tears through the dark. Raw, hopeless. Morning arrives. Pale light creeps across the floor. You wake drenched in sweat. Your head feels heavy. Heat pulses under your skin. You tell yourself you're only tired, just adjusting to the past. But your heart beats too fast. Your eyelids feel heavy. You stand, and dizziness grips you like a hand tightening around your skull. In the tavern, the innkeeper watches you closely. Does he see sickness in your face already? You wipe your brow. Your hand trembles. He says nothing, but his gaze lingers. Already suspicion grows like weeds. Outside, the world continues moving as though nothing is wrong. Women carry water. Men chop wood. A baker pulls bread from an oven. Smoke curls gently from chimneys. Life tries to pretend death is not coming, but the rats are everywhere. In barrels, under carts, in shadows, fleas leap unseen. Each one a messenger carrying a quiet promise. You will not survive here. You walk through the town square again, slower now. Breathing hurts. A cold shiver runs down your spine even though your skin burns with fever. You press a hand to your neck. Tender, painful. A lump beneath the flesh throbs like a beating heart. People pass by you, some pale, some coughing, some moving with strange sluggishness. A woman weeps beside a shuttered house, clutching a ribbon from her child's hair. A priest walks with a wooden cross held high, voice hoarse from prayer. A group of men drag a body wrapped in cloth through the mud, chanting for mercy. You try to speak to someone, to ask for help, but your voice cracks. They turn away. No one helps strangers in plague time. Fear builds walls stronger than stone. Your legs feel weak. You stumble. A child watches you, wide-eyed, before being pulled away by her mother. You see pity in the girl's eyes, and fear in the mother's. You lean against a wall, breath slow, shallow. The world blurs. Sounds stretch and fade. Distant bells, muttered prayers, the scrape of a shovel digging a grave somewhere close. You thought knowledge would save you here. But this era does not bend to knowledge. It bends to fate, and fate has already touched you. Your skin dampens with cold sweat. Your hands shake. You taste metal. You feel something swelling beneath your arm. Tender, painful, growing. A boy runs past, laughing. Life continues. For now, you try to straighten up, to walk, to survive. But every step feels heavier than the last. The plague is inside you, silent, merciless, ancient, and no matter how strong your will may be, this world has already claimed you. You thought you could survive the past, but the past does not let go. Soon you will not be a traveler. You will become a memory, and tomorrow, when the church bell rings again, the town will not speak your name. It will only whisper, another one. Morning light creeps through a crack in the wooden shutters, cutting a pale line across the tavern floor. You lie curled on the straw bed, breath ragged, limbs heavy as stone. The fever burns like a furnace inside your skull, but your skin feels icy to the touch. You try to rise, but dizziness pulls you back like chains. The innkeeper knocks once, a cautious tap against the door, as if afraid to wake a demon. You hear his voice through the wood, trembling and uncertain. "Stranger, are you living?" You try to answer, but your throat is swollen, voice trapped somewhere deep. You cough, a dry, painful sound that scrapes the inside of your chest. When no words come, the innkeeper retreats. His footsteps hurry down the stairs. Fear follows him like a shadow. You force yourself upright. The room spins, walls bending like soft clay. Your vision flickers, black spots floating. A wave of nausea rolls through you, violent and sudden. You clutch the bedding, breathing slowly, trying not to collapse again. You tell yourself you must stand. You must move! If you lie down again, you fear you may never rise. Your fingers tremble uncontrolled as you splash cold water on your face from the clay bowl beside the bed. For a moment, the shock brings clarity. Your reflection stares back at you in the rippling surface. Eyes sunken, cheeks pale, lips cracked. You look like a ghost already, half in this world and half pulled toward another. Pain pulses beneath your arm, deep and throbbing. You lift your sleeve. The skin there is swollen, dark and tender, like something rotten growing beneath the flesh. A lump, hot, angry, alive. You recognize it, even without training. A bubo, the mark of death. Downstairs you hear voices. Quiet, tense, arguing. "He's sick. I saw his face. He's touched. You'll bring doom to us all if you let him stay. Throw him out before he dies here. They are talking about you." You want to shout, to tell them you are not a threat, but your voice refuses to obey. Your breath feels trapped inside your chest like a prisoner with no door to escape. Fear curls tight in your stomach. You never imagined that in a world filled with swords and kings and knights, the most terrifying enemy would be a sickness too small for eyes to see. Your legs barely obey as you stand, supporting yourself on shaking knees. You gather what you have: a cloak, your shoes, a half-eaten loaf of stale bread. You open the door and descend the narrow stairs, one hand gripping the railing. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if gravity has thickened around you. The innkeeper sees you and steps back quickly, his hand clutching a small wooden cross around his neck. His wife gasps and turns her face away. A girl peeks from behind a curtain, wide-eyed, terrified, her small fingers twisting nervously. You try to speak, to say thank you, to say sorry, but nothing comes. The innkeeper only nods, his expression tight with pity and fear. He points to the door. You do not need words to understand. The air outside bites colder than before, sharp and unforgiving. Smoke drifts from chimneys, carrying the smell of burning wood and sorrow. A man drags a cart past you, wheels grinding through mud. Something lumpy covered by cloth lies inside. A hand hangs out, pale, stiff. The cart does not stop. A bell sounds again in the distance. Not a church bell this time, but a hand bell, rung by men in dark robes, faces hidden. The plague wardens. They walk street to street collecting the dying. Sometimes they find them still breathing but too weak to protest. Their boots leave deep marks in the muddy road like footprints of fate. You pull your cloak tighter around you and walk, or try to. Every few steps your body sways, and once you nearly fall before catching yourself on a stone wall. People notice. They avoid you. Some step into alleys. Some cover their mouths with cloth. A few whisper prayers under their breath as you pass, not for you, but for themselves. A child points at you, curious. His mother yanks him back so hard he cries. "Don't look!" she scolds. "Turn your face!" The plague sees eyes. Superstition rules here. Eyes, breath, curses, stars. Everything is blamed, except the real killer hiding in blood. A church stands ahead, doors open wide. Inside, candles flicker like trembling souls. You stumble across the threshold and sink to your knees on the cold stone floor. The priest approaches slowly, robes brushing the ground. He studies your face, and the expression in his eyes tells you he already knows. "You are afflicted," he whispers, more to himself than to you. You try to speak, but only air escapes. He kneels beside you. For a moment, his hand touches your shoulder. Warm, human, rare kindness in a world collapsing. His voice softens, trembling slightly. You must find peace within your heart. Heaven sees suffering. Heaven knows every cry. Your chest tightens, not just from sickness, but emotion. You did not come here to die. You came believing you could survive history. But history is not gentle. It does not bend for those who visit. It swallows without mercy. A woman sobs loudly near the altar. She clutches the lifeless body of her husband, shaking him, begging him to wake. A young monk prays over them, tears streaming down his face. He has seen too much death for someone so young. You watch the scene, dizzy, heart aching. Grief fills this place like thick smoke. You sit there until the priest stands and moves away to tend to another mourner. Your breathing grows shallower. Your limbs feel numb, detached. You know you cannot stay here. Not because they will force you out, but because something inside you whispers that time is slipping, grains falling through the hourglass faster with every breath. Outside, villagers carry a body wrapped in linen toward the churchyard. You follow slowly, drawn like a shadow. The ground there is freshly turned in too many places. Graves lie so close they touch. Wooden markers stand crowded, some nameless. The earth cannot keep up with the dead. A gravedigger pauses and looks at you. His eyes narrow. You'll be in one of these soon. His voice is not cruel, just tired. Hope has long left him. Your knees buckle. You fall, catching yourself with your hands in the mud. The earth feels strange, soft, sinking. The world tilts, blurring at the edges. People glance, then look away. In plague times, strangers are not rescued. Suffering is not shared. Each person clings to life alone. A soft voice calls out, "Wait," you turn. A young woman stands a few steps away. A scarf covers her hair and her cloak is patched but clean. Her eyes, gentle, worried, study your face instead of avoiding it. She hesitates only a moment before stepping closer. "You're sick," she says quietly. "Come. I cannot cure you, but you should not die alone." Her words pierce deeper than the fever. Why would a stranger offer kindness in a time when kindness kills? You cannot answer her, cannot even thank her. But she takes your arm gently, guiding you through narrow streets until you reach a small cottage at the edge of town. Inside, it is warm. A fire burns soft, casting orange light across rough wooden walls. Dried herbs hang from the beams. A small table holds bowls of broth and bread. She helps you sit on a straw mattress, placing a damp cloth on your forehead. Her hands are steady. "My brother died last week," she whispers. "He was alone. I prayed someone had stayed with him. So now I stay for others." You hear her voice, but it feels distant. The room spins again. The fever climbs higher, a fire raging beneath your skin. She hands you a cup, warm broth, bitter herbs floating inside. You drink because you cannot refuse, though your stomach protests. Night deepens. The woman hums softly, a lullaby, fragile and haunting. You do not know the words, but the tune settles deep inside you, like hands holding your soul gently. Your breath rattles. Pain surges in waves. Your body trembles uncontrollably, then falls still. Sweat chills on your forehead. Your heart races, then slows, then races again. Something inside you slips, as though a thread tying you to the living world begins to fray. The woman wipes your face, whispering prayers. She lights a candle and places it near your bedside, its flame trembling. Shadows dance across the walls, long and uncertain. Your thoughts scatter like leaves in wind. Time blurs. You do not know if hours pass or moments. Sometimes you feel nothing. Sometimes pain consumes everything. The woman remains. She does not leave. Even when exhaustion pulls her into sleep beside the fire, she wakes often, checking if you still breathe. You do, but barely. Morning returns, cold and pale. You are still alive, but only just. A weak victory in a losing battle. Your throat burns, your vision swims. You try to speak her name, though you never learned it, but your tongue feels heavy. She brings water to your lips. It tastes like mercy. Outside, the bell tolls again. Then another. And another. The world keeps dying. You lie there, suspended between two worlds, the living and the almost gone. Fear drifts into acceptance. Pain shifts into numbness. The fire crackles softly. The woman hums again, voice thin, like a thread tying you to existence. You close your eyes. If death comes now, it will find you not alone in the street, but in warmth. with someone who refused to abandon a stranger. And in the dim edges of consciousness, as fever carries you toward darkness, a single thought rises. You expected to survive history, but history is not survived. It is endured, and few endure it long. Your breath weakens, your body trembles once more, then you fall into the deep. Heavy silence between heartbeats, and the world holds its breath. Imagine it's early summer, 1348. The warm breeze drifts across medieval Europe. But something is terribly wrong. Birds quiet, streets tense, and an eerie silence settles over towns and villages, like the world itself is holding its breath. People do not yet understand it. But soon, fear will rule everything. The first whispers of death rumors begin to spread, slowly at first, in crowded markets and dusty village squares and dim taverns. Filled with candle smoke, people share frightened whispers. A strange sickness is coming from the east. No doctor can cure it. Whole cities have vanished. A merchant passing through quietly mutters, "In Italy, men fall dead in the streets. Bodies pile up like fallen leaves, but rumors feel distant. Your village is still normal, and for now, until one day, a stranger collapses on the dirt road outside the church. His eyes sunken, skin mottled, a purple swelling the size of an egg bulging from his neck. The priest kneels to help him. Moments later, the man coughs a spray of blood and dies. People gasp, women scream, and fear grips your heart like ice. You have seen death before, but not like this. Confusion and denial. Nobody knows what to do. Some say it's God's punishment. Others blame evil spirits, cursed air, or witchcraft. You hear one man mutter, "It is the breath of Satan." A doctor in a long leather-beaked mask arrives, carrying herbs and incense. He believes bad air causes disease, so he tries to cleanse the air. But as he bends to examine the body, the villagers step backward. Even he looks terrified. Deep down, everyone realizes something horrifying. No one understands what is happening, and no one can stop it. Fear takes over the streets within days. More townspeople fall sick. A baker collapses near his bread stall. A child coughs blood on her mother's shoulder. A soldier drops his sword and trembles. Too weak to stand, doors slam shut. People stop going to church. Shops close. The streets begin to feel like a graveyard before the bodies arrive. You look through your window at empty roads and shuttered houses. A town, once full of life, now fading into silence. The desperate theories since. Science does not exist yet. Desperate explanations rise. The stars have aligned in a cursed way. The Jews poisoned the wells. Cats are witches' servants spreading evil. The world is ending, and because people are afraid, they act violently. Cats are killed across Europe. Not knowing cats could have stopped rats and fleas. You watch a group storm a neighbor's house shouting, "She speaks to spirits. She brought the plague." Fear has turned the frightened into monsters. Humanity is collapsing faster than the disease spreads. The church cannot save. You go to the church seeking comfort, but even priests are afraid. The priest trembles as he prays. He wipes sweat from his forehead. His voice cracks as he whispers, "Repent your sins before God calls you." But soon, priests begin dying too. Some churches shut their doors. The churchyards overflow with bodies. The streets smell of incense, fear, and something worse, death. The rich escape. You cannot. Rumors spread that noble families are fleeing to countryside estates. They load carriages with bread, wine, jewelry, and servants. Meanwhile, poor families like yours have nowhere to go. You watch the wealthy leave through the town gates. While your neighbors cough and collapse around you, your mother whispers, "We are forgotten." You realize a harsh truth. In this world, only the rich can run, and even they may not escape. The rise of the flagellants. One evening, a procession enters the town. Men with torches, chanting prayers, bare backs bleeding as they whip themselves. They believe pain cleanses sin and will make God forgive humanity. Their chanting fills the night. Forgive us, spare us, cleanse us! Blood drips onto the ground as they march. Children hide behind there. Parents, you feel the hair on your neck rise. This is not faith. It is madness born from terror. 8. A visit from the plague doctor. The plague doctor returns to your neighborhood. His mask long and bird-like, his coat dark and heavy gloves tight on his hands, boots thudding on. Cobblestones. He knocks on a door. Silence. He pushes the door open. Inside, a family lies motionless, children huddled by their mother lifeless eyes, staring into nothing. You feel your stomach knot. This disease does not just kill bodies. It destroys families, hope, and the soul of an entire world. You feel the first signs. As night falls, you feel a strange heaviness in your chest. You tell yourself it's fear, just fear. But then, a fever begins to burn under your skin. Your head throbs, your joints ache like fire. You lie in bed, sweating and shaking. In the silence, you hear a distant scream. Someone else has fallen ill. You press your hand to your neck, wondering, will you feel a swelling there in the morning? You close your eyes and pray you will see another sunrise. Outside, a cart rolls down the street, wheels creaking, and a grim voice calls, "Bring out your dead." Your pulse quickens. This is no longer just a rumor, no longer someone else's tragedy. The plague has found you. I write these words with trembling fingers, as if the ink itself shivers beneath the weight of fate. It has been months since my lord returned from the battlefield. Yet the truth feels more distant than any foreign land his sword once crossed. The walls of our home stand tall, but inside them a storm has settled. A storm that no crusade could ever match. He does not look the same. His eyes, once filled with courage and warmth, now carry shadows deeper than night itself. I recognize his face, but the man beneath is a stranger, broken by what he has seen or perhaps by what he has done. He walks as if haunted, sleeps as if hunted, and speaks as if every word might betray a secret too heavy to bear. Tonight, I found him awake before dawn, gripping the cross around his neck with shaking hands, whispering a prayer that sounded more like a confession. When I touched his shoulder, he flinched, as though struck by an unseen enemy. I asked him if he still carries the sword in his dreams. He did not answer, but his silence echoed louder than any battle horn. Rumors have reached our village, rumors of soldiers returning with more than scars. They speak of sins committed in the name of holy will, vengeance taken in fear, walls painted red in the holy city where angels were said to walk. Mothers beg the priest to cleanse their husbands' souls. Children stare at fathers they no longer recognize. The war ended far away, yet its ghosts march among us still. I wanted peace when he returned. I prayed for love to bloom again like spring roses after bitter winter. Instead, I feel fear curling in the corners of every room. He paces long into the night, whispering a name I do not know. Is it someone he lost or someone he failed to save? Sometimes he grips my hands as if I am slipping away, and other times he looks at me as though I am a memory fading from his grasp. I never know which version of him will wake each morning. Today, our son asked why his father never smiles anymore. I held him close and lied, saying war makes men tired. But inside, I broke. Our child deserves laughter. He deserves a father who can hold him without trembling like a frightened child himself. He deserves a home untouched by the echoes of swords and screams from lands he has never seen. At the market, the women whispered again. One said her husband confessed to killing a man who begged for mercy. Another said hers sees the faces of fallen brothers every time he closes his eyes. They fear their own beds now. They fear the night. They fear the truth that war did not end on crusade soil. It followed them home and lives within their walls. Tonight, my husband sat at the fire, turning his wedding ring between his fingers as though unsure if it still belonged to him. I asked him what burdens his heart. He raised his eyes, hollow, trembling, and whispered, "There are wounds a blade cannot heal." Then he turned away from me, and I felt a boundary rise, invisible yet unbreakable. I love him. God knows I do. But love is not a shield against shadows. I fear what the war has taken from him. I fear what it may yet take from us. Still, I hope. Perhaps healing walks slowly, like a weary traveler seeking home. Perhaps the light will find him again. Or perhaps some truths are not meant to return to the living world, forever buried in sand and blood. I close this diary with a prayer for peace in our home, for mercy on his soul, and for courage in my heart. And if destiny has written another path, may these words remain, a quiet testimony that love fought as fiercely as any army, even when the battle was unseen. And if one night he rises and does not return, if one day he leaves not to war but to escape the war inside him, then let history judge him gently. For he carried the cross not only on his chest, but within his heart, and no man can bear such weight forever. Some wars never end, some ghosts never sleep, and some hearts never fully return from distant lands, even when the body does.